Hi guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the Web of Truth of Spider-Man. Today I'm going to share with you the Web of Truth from Quran with references that Jesus is God. Reason by reason, one by one. Keep watching. Reason number one, God is eternal being. He is first and last, beginning and end. He is before beginning. He is after ending. And if you read Quran chapter 2, 117, verse 117, and Quran chapter 16, verse 40, Jesus is mentioned here as eternal being because Jesus is word of God according to Quran, and here Jesus is creating everything. The word of God in Quran is creating everything. So he is present before any creation. So he is eternal being. Jesus is eternal according to Quran 2:117 and chapter 16 verse 40. Reason number 2. God is a healer. And if you read Quran chapter 3, verse 49, Jesus is clearly mentioned here. He is healer. So reason number 2, Jesus is God according to Quran because Jesus is healer. Reason number 3, God is creator. And if you again read chapter 3 verse 49 of the Quran, Jesus is creating. He is clearly mentioned in this verse that he is a creator. He is creating birds out of mud. And the whole universe is created by word of God, which is mentioned in chapter 2 verse 117 and chapter 16 verse 40. So Jesus is creator according to Quran. Reason number 4, God is resurrection and life. And again, if you read Quran 3 verse 49, Jesus is mentioned here very clearly as resurrection and life. He is giving life to the dead in this verse. He is giving life to the mud. So he is resurrection and life, and God is resurrection and life. He is Jesus in equality with resurrection and life, proved to be God according to Quran 3:49. Reason number 5, God is all-knowing. We know God is only all-knowing. And again, if you read Quran verse 3:49, you will come to know that Jesus is all-knowing. So Jesus is God according to Quran 3:49 because he is all-knowing and God is all-knowing. Reason number 6, God is present everywhere. And again in Quran 3:49, Jesus is present everywhere with his knowledge, with his perfect knowledge, with his all-knowing. If he has all knowledge, it means he is present everywhere, and only God is present everywhere. So again, Jesus is God because He is present everywhere with His knowledge, and this is mentioned in Quran 3:49. Reason number 7. God is merciful and kind. And again in Quran chapter 3 verse 49, Jesus is merciful and kind. He is raising dead. He is giving life to the dead. He is healing every sickness. So He is merciful and kind. Only God is merciful and kind. So Jesus is God because Jesus is merciful and kind. Reason number 8. God is all-seeing. He can see anywhere, everywhere. Jesus, if He has a perfect knowledge, He is all-knowing. It means He can see everywhere. Anywhere, everywhere. So Jesus is God according to Quran 3:49 because He can see everywhere with His knowledge, with His perfect knowledge. Reason number 9. God is holy. Only God is holy and sinless and faultless. And in Quran chapter 19 and verse 19, it is mentioned that Jesus is sinless, faultless, and holy. So Jesus is God according to Quran 19:19. Reason number 10. Jesus is God because in Quran chapter 4 verse 171, Jesus is clearly mentioned as Spirit of God. And we know Spirit of God is equal to God. So Jesus is God as Spirit of God according to Quran. Reason number 11. Jesus is mentioned in Quran as Word of God, Word from God, Kalima, Kun, which means He is source of every creation, He is eternal being, He is everything. So, as Word of God, Jesus is equal to God, and it is clearly mentioned in many verses of Quran. And the title of Jesus in Quran is that He is Word of God. So Jesus is God. As Word of God, He is equal to God. Reason number 12. We know that God is all-powerful. And in the same way, Quran describes that Jesus is all-powerful. As Word of God, He is powerful. As Spirit of God, He is powerful. He has all authority. All permission is within Him in Jesus. So He is all-powerful. He can do anything. So He is all-powerful, and we know that God is all-powerful. So Jesus is God. Reason number 13. We know that God is love. And in Quran, chapter 3, verse 55, we know that Jesus sacrificed His life. The word mutawafika means Jesus died. So Jesus is love because He sacrificed His life. He did atonement for us. He died for us. He died for the whole world. Mutawafika, death, died, which reveals the love of God. So Jesus is love, God is love, Jesus is God. Reason number 14. We know God is truth, Al-Haq. And in Quran 19:34, Jesus is described as truth. Al-Haq. So Jesus is God because Jesus is truth. Reason number 15 that Jesus is God because Jesus is all wise. Jesus has all wisdom. Jesus is described as wisdom in Quran 43 verse 63. Reason number 16 that Jesus is God because we know God is victorious. God is the one who gives victory. In Quran 3:55, Jesus is mentioned as victorious and gives victory to his followers. So Jesus is God. Reason number 17 that Jesus is God, we know that God is living. He lives forever. And we know that Jesus lives forever. Jesus is living God according to Quran 3:55. Reason number 18 that Jesus is God, we know that God is a provider. And in Quran 3:49, it's clearly, we can see that it's very clear that Jesus is the provider. Reason number 19 that Jesus is God, we know that God is a judge. God is a judge at the judgment day. And in Quran verse 43:61, Jesus is mentioned as a sign of judgment day, and we know that the word of God is a judge. So Jesus is judge, Jesus is God. Reason number 20 that Jesus is God, because we know that God is all powerful. He can do everything, anything. So he incarnated according to Quran 3:45. The word of God became flesh. The word of God incarnated into flesh. He transformed into flesh. So Jesus is God and he can do anything, everything. Reason number 20 that Jesus is God, because we know that God is all powerful. He can do everything, anything. So he incarnated according to Quran 3:45. The word of God became flesh. The word of God incarnated into flesh. He transformed into flesh. So Jesus is God and he can do anything, everything. Reason number 21, we know that God revealed himself in a triune way, in triune persons, and in Quran 4 verse 171, chapter 4 verse 171, it is very clear. The word of God is there, Spirit of God is there, and God is there. And God is saying, do not say three, but one. So God's revelation of Holy Trinity is clear in Quran chapter 4 verse 171, and that is Holy Trinity. Jesus is a person of Holy Trinity, so he is God according to Quran chapter 4 verse 171. After hearing this message, top 21 reasons that Jesus is God according to Quran, after watching this video, 3 main points can come in anybody's mind, and I want to clarify them. Those 3 points need clarification. Number 1 is, do I believe that Quran is a word of God? And my answer is no. I don't believe that. Only Holy Bible is a word of God, but these verses are taken out of the Holy Bible. These verses are stolen from the Holy Bible. We need to highlight them. We need to understand them. We need to spread them. So that is why I'm using these verses of the Quran. Number 2, that someone can say to you Jesus did all these things with the power and authority and permission of God. And you need to answer that person that all authority, all power, all permission is within Jesus, not out of Jesus. And that makes Jesus co-equal to God. And the concept of triune God becomes more easier to understand. Number 3, anyone can give you a reference from Quran or from Holy Bible about the human nature of Jesus. And that makes more easier to understand that God became man. If anyone gives you any reference of human nature of Jesus, that makes clear the concept of Christian doctrine that God became man. And with those references of human nature, we need to understand and find the reference of his divine nature. God bless you all.